Hi everyone, good morning. So I am Isa Kupka. I am from the University of Missouri, and the work I will be presenting is not just my own work, but work that have been done by Amanda and Angie. And I will be talking about native North American plants and their bioactive compounds, and can we use them to treat skin maladies? So as you all know, our skin contains billions of microbes, and these microbes are normally present on our skin to protect us from the external environment, protecting us from getting sick. But sometimes there's a dysbiosis and pathogenic bacteria start to flourish and they take over, and this can be really harmful to us. So just a trigger warning, I don't know, they say that on social media. Some of these photos are a little bit graphic, so close your eyes like for 2 seconds and then I'll tell you when we're on the next slide. So bacteria can cause skin maladies such as superficial folliculitis, so say that 7 times fast, prosthetic implant infections, and also chronic wounds. And bacteria that is normally responsible for these skin maladies are Staphylococcus aureus and Pseudomonas aeruginosa. So when there's a break in our skin, I should probably stand in front of the microphone. When there's a break in our skin, this can cause the bacteria to start to flourish, and it's just sometimes difficult to kill these bacteria. They also cause an inflammatory response, and there's also a lot of reactive oxygen species involved. And this can have long-term effects such as causing pigmentation and scarring, and in very severe cases, this can also cause death. So looking at North American plants, and can they help us to treat these diseases? So looking at American elderberry, it's scientifically known as Sambucus canadensis. It is native to North America, as you can see right there. And it is traditionally used to treat wounds and respiratory conditions. I only mentioned 2, but there is a ton of other traditional uses. It is used to also make jams and jellies, and it was interesting for me to find out that even vinegar and wine, which I didn't even know, so that was really interesting. But if you look at current products on the market that promotes it as elderberry or have containing elderberry, you will mostly see that it contains Sambucus nigra, which is the European elderberry. And as you can see, it's only native to Europe. So it's actually not even found in America. There's also no rigorous scientific research being done on American elderberry, and also for treating skin wounds or skin maladies. So this is really an untapped American resource. And another plant that we are working on in our group is PaPaw. And when I talked to all of you and I was talking about PaPaw, all of you were so excited. I'm actually originally from South Africa, so I'm learning about all your new native plants, and you're also excited when I mentioned PaPaw. So it is traditionally used to make ropes and dyes and pesticides and even to treat lice. But which was so strange to me, is that people also consume it. It is used to treat inflammation, skin and mouth sores, and it's also a laxative and sedative and emetic, which makes you sick, which I heard. So just be careful when you consume this. And when I talk to you, I found out about the Iowa PaPaw festival, and that you get like all different types of PaPaw treats and food and things that you can consume. So that was really fun for me to learn as well. But when you go look on the internet and you look for PaPaw products, there's not much information or products that is available for PaPaw. I only found this PaPaw bark extract. A PaPaw bark extract also contain these compounds that are toxic, so we call them ananaceous acetogenins. And if I pronounce that wrong or if I stumbled, please forgive me. So these compounds are normally toxic. They have shown to have great anti-cancer potential, and they're mostly found in the unripe fruits, seeds, roots, and twigs, and a little bit in the bark as well. Oh, but again, untapped American resource, which is great for us. So working on, so we wanted to find out what are the compounds that is responsible for this activity. So we looked at 21 cultivars of the berry juice for elderberry, and we are working on as well, looking at the different plant parts, so the flowers, the stems, and the leaves and seeing what compounds, but that's a talk for another day. And then also PaPaw, we analyzed 8 cultivars of PaPaw, and we looked at the ripe fruit. We extracted the juice and the fruit using ultrasonic extraction in methanol, and we sent our samples for untargeted metabolomics at our metabolomics center. We then identified the putative compounds using Metlin and XCMS, and we confirmed the concentration of these compounds and if they are even present in our extracts using HPLC and calibration curves. So looking at the metabolomics, we found that elderberry was rich in anthocyanins, which we expected, and these are compounds such as cyanidin, some bubioside, and cyanidin. Oh, there's a mistake. Cyanidin glucoside, that should be glucoside. And then looking at PaPaw, we also found annonacin in the compound, so putatively. And this is one of those compounds that is toxic and that we are actually interested in. Looking at both extracts contained flavonoids, and flavonoids and these anthocyanins and annonaceous acetogens have previously been confirmed to have anti-inflammatory activity, to have antioxidant, antibacterial, and anti-cancer activity. We then wanted to just see how does our extracts, how can we use our extracts maybe for skin maladies? And we tested the total antioxidant capacity of our extracts, so to target that reactive oxygen species that I mentioned, and also looking at different cancer cell lines, leukemia, melanoma, breast, ovarian, prostate cancer. But we mostly focused on these for the PaPaw results or the PaPaw studies, since we know that they contain those anti-cancer compounds. And we also tested the antibacterial activity of these compounds against Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Staphylococcus aureus. And we found, as we expected, that the elderberry compounds had significant antioxidant and antibacterial activity, especially the compound isohamnicin and the cyanidin compounds, cyanidin sambucus and cyanidin glucoside. So they had antioxidant activity and antibacterial activity, which is great for us to know if it could potentially be used in wound healing. We then looked at PaPaw, and we found that PaPaw, as we expected, had good anti-cancer potential. So it was especially good to treat leukemia, and compounds with a concentration below the yellow line is considered to have significant anti-cancer activity, and compounds below the red purpley line is considered to have moderate anti-cancer activity. The compounds that was mostly responsible for good antioxidant activity and antibacterial activity was syringaresinol and also the annonacin compound, which had good antibacterial activity and also anti-cancer activity. So to conclude is, we found that these compounds, cyanidin sambucus and cyanidin glucoside and isohamnicin, had great antibacterial and antioxidant activity, which make them great candidates for wound healing. These compounds were also found at high concentrations in 2 specific elderberry cultivars. Looking at the PaPaw compounds, we found that syringaresinol, annonacin, and quercetin had great antibacterial, antioxidant, and cytotoxic activity, which makes them great for wound and anti-cancer treatments. And they were also found in those at the highest concentrations in those 2 cultivars. So future work will include to determine the synergistic activity between these compounds, the quantification of these compounds in other plant parts, doing in vitro and in vivo wound studies, and then also get the community involved in this research. So it's really important for us that our research is being translated to products that the communities can take charge of and use their own traditional knowledge to build or to create economic growth in these underserved communities. So I just want to thank all of these people. This is Amanda. So she's a PhD student. She did a lot of this work, and also NGC works on PaPaw, and Mohammed, he was also an assistant in this, and my supervisor, Dr. John Holland. So I just really want to say thank you for coming to my presentation today, and yeah, any questions? Any questions? Yes.
What plants are used?
Excuse me?
The PaPaw plant, what plants are used?
So this was only the ripe fruit, but as I mentioned, like different parts do contain that very anti-cancerous and that undernaceous cetogenin, so they're very toxic and cancerous. So that's why I'm mostly focused on the ripe fruit, because when it's applied to the skin, we don't really want it to be irritating or damage the skin even further. So that's why the ripe fruit was used.
Is there a reason why the two cultivars were selected for PaPaw and elderberry?
No, there was actually a list of 21 cultivars. I didn't mention them that year because it's 21 cultivars for elderberry, 8 cultivars for PaPaw. We do have a research farm where all of these plants grow, and so we keep track of their genetic information. So it wasn't just, it was just what we found, that these compounds were the highest in those cultivars. So we're just looking at which cultivars are the best to use.
I came in a little bit, you may have mentioned this. Can you tell us about traditional use of the...
Yes, so traditionally elderberry is used for wounds. It's mostly used as a wash, but the different plant parts are used. So the flowers, and it's the flowers and the leaves is used as a wash to treat wounds and sores. But here we just tested the berry. We are going to move on to other plant parts as well. But it's also used to treat respiratory infection, coughs and colds. There's a huge list. And then as well for PaPaw, it is used to treat inflammation, pain specifically, which was also very interesting if that could be used for pain and wound, maybe wound pain. That combination is great. And also as a laxative, and what can I remember now? Also wounds, yes.
I was just thinking, since you mentioned the elder again, you know, they're also known to be toxic at certain growth periods in certain parts of the plant, and there's a detoxification process that can be done. And I wonder if there's something similar with PaPaw to get rid of the, what was it?
Undernaceous cetogenins. I am not sure about the PaPaw, but I know what I've heard from our research group. We have a huge American elderberry research group, is that they've said that the American elderberry is not as toxic as the European elderberry. Don't quote me on that. Don't go, like, still boil your elderberries and things like that. Like, I don't want to be responsible for anybody getting sick or landing in the hospital. But I've heard it is a little bit less toxic and you might not need to boil the berries. So, but don't quote me on that. I do not know about PaPaw. I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, maybe we can.
That's any similarities between this PaPaw and South African PaPaw?
I do not know. Yes, that would be interesting to find out. Is it, am I done?
No, you still
Okay.
Is the Native American or the native elderberry available commercially?
The native elderberry, yes, it is. There's a huge market in Missouri. Harvest elderberry. What is the company? Harvest. I can't remember now on the top of my head, but there is a huge market for elderberry food products, not elderberry healthcare products. Yes, mostly only for food.
Okay.